All right, good afternoon, Cyber Traders. Welcome on back here this Tuesday afternoon. As always on Tuesdays, our post-Traders Talk edition here of our afternoon meeting. Great to see Chuck still with us. I'm sure a fan of this cold run-up here, KOLD, natural gas ETF. Great to see Leda still here with us, loud and clear from them. Hopefully good to go across the board. And for all of us in social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, welcome on back as well. So, in a down market, I always love a down market, actually, not for like any sort of swing trade or investment side of what I do, but well, it goes to show with what we do with day trading, not every stock is going to move with the stock market, right? Not every stock is going to drop off. There could be some stocks that go off on their own accord. So not as much cold, because actually quite frequently when markets are down, this natural gas ETF tends to make a nice move up. Not all the time, not like UVXY as correlated with that, but natural gas ETF cold's been on a huge run up at least the last month or so. So nice run up here. And I wouldn't mind putting this on our watch list at least to begin, just breaking multi-week highs, at least multi-month highs. Just jump back to the daily chart actually while I'm at it. I wanted to jump right ahead to the Jasper trade, JSPR. Of course, that's what I was referring to as far as, following some moves on their own accord, going completely against the grain. But, looking at cold, well, you can see it's not multi-year highs, at least. Ended up making this big squeeze up seemingly to this peak back in late June of last year. It seems to be where, like right around $44. That's still a ways away from 33.25. So I'm not expecting for it to, go parabolic once more and run all the way up another 11 points. But historically speaking, you would assume 50 to be a psychological level coming up as resistance. Well, certainly 44-ish will be good to complement that price. So, at least for right now as a day trade, we'll see if this could run higher. But Jasper and JSPR. So we talked about this trade earlier in our Traders Talk workshop for all of us on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube. That's our weekly workshop we conduct inside our live room every Tuesday morning. So from A to Z, at least up until 12 o'clock Eastern time, we went over this move. The disappointing part about this move, for as much as it ran up, it got halted over and over to the point where it barely offered any one of us like a real chance based off of strategy to enter. Like if you're entering, you're just trying to throw a dart on the wall and hope it lands. You're praying and hoping it continues. Like we talked about in Traders Talk earlier today, not every stock is going to be Cala. Not every stock is going to be Pally or, hey, we'll find one a day perhaps, but not every stock is going to be that, 500, 600% gainer. So hey, this was running up by the time we finished up Traders Talk, broke higher. For as much as it got halted going up, it got halted down, and that's what made it very scary to try and even think about trading when it's up that much percentage-wise. But if you take a look on the daily chart, and I'm not out of the doghouse on this trade yet, although I did sell half my share position just a moment ago. I had to take the money and run, really. But on this trade, there were a few historical levels to follow. 171 was at first, blew right over that. Well, next level ahead, historically speaking, roughly around that 3 area, 291 and the whole number 3. So just a moment ago, and even 280 was a bigger volume, more meaningful volume-based level. But 291, we had this level in our Traders Talk workshop. We were talking about this as a point of resistance, and right over here, it did top off right there. I was expecting for that to be the end of the run at that time. Well, hey, it blasted above it. So when a stock breaks above resistance and it runs off of it, the hope would be to at least initially see support. So I was looking for that even beginning heading into 1 o'clock, going into the mid-afternoon, and I've had my eye on this price since. So going into 2 o'clock, 2:15, I just set a stop limit order to buy if it were to break above it. I was watching it the whole time, so it's not like I was like away from my desk. Like the second it got filled, I ended up setting my stop order up right under me. It got halted right away. So like what we talk about much more often than not, at least, when you jump into a trade, you want to see a big move shortly after that reaction. So if you don't get that reaction right away, not to say it's not going to be worth it, but it's a start of a red flag. So once it popped and got halted just a moment ago, I had to feel like this would look to continue heading into this meeting. So Jasper, long story short, too long, didn't read. We'll put this on our watch list here so far for the afternoon in hopes of this making another higher low and for this to, really blow the roof off that last historical. What is that? Right off at 363 I put there? 373? So basically hit there just earlier and pulled back. I do have my stop set on this trade right at 91, actually. So if it stops me at break even on the second half, just to be transparent, I'm happy with how this trade's going because, one of our new students had brought it up earlier. Right now, 2:30 Eastern time, much before that time, from like 11 o'clock to right now, this is not where we should be gunning to make our days pay. So, yeah, if you're here, if you're at your desk, then, if there's any stocks that are still moving, then prep up your big levels and then see if the stock can make that move for you. So I ended up taking a couple of losses on Jasper off the 291 at first. It didn't make for the greatest trade, just before, but I kept my eye on the level, just kept focused on what we always preach in class, when it breaks through the level on the way up. So, I ended up taking half my share out right off of 334. And with that, if it ends up pulling back, so be it, right? I have my stop set at my entry price. If it ends up exploding from this point forward, then we'll move the stop up accordingly. All right, so we got Cold, we got Jasper, and that's all in a down market. Actually, I did pretty good as a short really briefly. I want to see how it's doing right now because Coinbase was like, oh my God, what a gift. It normally doesn't work out as smooth, right? If it always did that work out that smooth, then you and I wouldn't be here, right? So, I turned over to Coinbase as it was already right off the lows here, roughly off this 34.30 price. It was perfect timing, just fell right into my lap. I'd called it out right away as a short, just right in front of us, saying, hey, Coinbase looks pretty weak, looks like it could be a good short. Broke down right from that point down to 34, led to another entry from 34 down towards 33.50. For mid-afternoon, not terrible, right? Not terrible. And if I had missed out on that, who cares? It's not really the best time of the day to be trading. So, I was there. It fell on my lap. God bless. Cookie doesn't always crumble that way. So, I still left some money on the table for this Coinbase short. But now at this point, looks more flat. If it was trending down at this point right now as I'm talking, then I'd be more interested in putting it on our list. I'll maybe come back to this by the end of it all. Keep it on our side list for right now. All right, got Jasper up on my other screen though. So what we'll do is go from top to bottom. I'm going to keep my other, eye on Jasper, see what that's up to as we go through. I shouldn't have even clicked on this. I forgot about this because when a buyout is, made official, stock does nothing. So I actually remember this from the morning, but yeah, we didn't really trade this. Now, one that we did trade, it looks pretty crazy right now, RSLS. By we, I actually don't mean me. I did not jump in on this one. I wish I could say I, was able to jump in from like 10, ran it up to at least 12, 12.50. But man, this thing ended up just kept on giving and giving. Ended up running up much like the Jasper trade, got halted a few times over at that. And even off the down halts, you would expect for the stock to gap down, to which it did a little bit. But for it to move lower, for that to be the end of the ride, end of the show, and it ended up giving us an even bigger squeeze up later on. So, now at this stage, this trade's all over the map. Up and down, lower highs, higher lows. It just looks like a wedge. So I'm not too interested in this right now. Looks just way too much like a gamble stock now at this point. Let me keep it going. MSGM, if you're able to short this stock, maybe. This is normally what happens when a stock gets halted on the way down after a big run up. Typically that's a wrap. That's game over. ATNF. I don't know if this got halted down. This has been a really nice trade today. So I ended up following this one from earlier upon the market opening up. Led to a good squeeze from that point, but I took my eyes off it after. And when we were doing Traders Talk, it was beginning to make a subtle bounce. Not like the best, but it was grinding up and heading into like 1 o'clock, blew the roof off of resistance off of 475. If I'm not mistaken, I deleted the line here at the time, but 470-ish I had as a key level to complement the 5. We had low of the day back here from December 15th, 477, and then the close here right off of 480. So roughly around 477, 480 it was. I felt like there was a historical level to follow at that point and really was holding underneath it. That and $5, but blasted above both, led to another run up as high as close to 6. Now at this point, it looks like it's making lower highs, but I'll tell you, I mean, it's active enough. It's active enough for right now. Just if it ends up making a lower low, obviously we'll look to move forward from it, move on from it. But I'll put this on our main list for right now. ATNF still. ILAG, this stock we ended up doing really well on back from early to mid October. You could just see this big spike day, like 40 plus million shares. It was a pop and drop, so it's not a swing trade. These are all day trades that we're really calling out. Even if like day over day the stock ran up, unless if we told you beforehand we were focused on it as a swing, it's easy to say in hindsight. So, if anything, what's easy to say is for a stock as like low float, low volume, normally as ILAG is, this is the expected type of move. Pop and drop, ended up pulling back down. Hey, if this stock can make a fraction of the type of run it made for us back in mid October, I'd be really happy. And it ended up doing a good number today. Ran up pretty nicely, had an ugly shake here. So, now at this point, I think we'll definitely move forward from it. All right. Now, this is the point where I will say there's not a whole lot else I'd expect for there to be looking good. Just in a down market, you had a few up at the top of the gainers list, and there might be like one or two gems here in a moment, but sift through it here pretty quickly. ADTX. I mean, if the spread, if the order book looked any better, I actually would put this on our list right away. It's at the highs, but it's just not really trading a whole lot of volume per minute. If it ends up making a better pop or more volume joins that order book, I'd be more interested. But we'll see if there's anything else looking better, like volume wise, if anything. This looks great as a chart. If anything, it looks like a Fausto flex building to the upside. But let's see if there's anything looking better. Chuck on his Billy trade from earlier today. Billy, just a good sideless stock, really over the last month and a half, 2 months. One of the China stocks that have been moving up pretty nicely for us at the time. Billy, XPEV. Billy, probably the sharpest of them, an IQ, right? So right now, not a whole lot too much happening on Billy, but nice pop from the open. Had a good little bounce off of like 26.75 earlier, 26.25, I should say. But we'll focus on it come tomorrow morning. I'm sure it's a good one to follow going into the market opens. Billy. All right, so I think that just about wraps up the gainer side. The Grom trade, this was nasty. I was looking for this to hold support off of 195. It ended up breaking under and over it. It led to a nice pop. But man, this thing dumped back down as fast as it popped. So that's where I say, like, hey, if you want to see the stock run, it's got to make a pretty strong reaction off the level. It did here. And I had my feet kicked up to a great degree, not literally, but when it pops up near 20 cents from your level, okay, you're on the right track. But when it comes back down as fast, this could be easy to say because it already happened. But this is experience talking to you folks. You got to get out. You can't hope and hold then at that point, right? It was off to such a good break off that 195 again, looking for the run up close towards 230-ish, 235, and then perhaps up to 250 maybe. Well, one can only dream, right? One can only hope. And with that, once it broke back under 195, I went break even, and I never really looked back at it. I mean, I looked at it, but unless it's flipping this into support, wasn't going to work out. That was more of a level from the like 5 or 10 minute chart here briefly. So just to show you, it was like holding this pretty nicely as like a little top going into the open. So that's where I was looking for that to get flipped into support. Just never happened. All right. So with that a little squeak up here, I see off the lows on the SPY S&P ETF. Let's just check out what's on the loser side for right now, folks, seeing if there's anything looking just as good, if not better. Yeah, TSLL, that's the Tesla bullish ETF. So we'll check out TSLA, obviously Tesla equity here. Pretty expensive, still to a lot of us, most of us, myself. So I'm not going to be as keen to follow this comparative to the others that we've covered, but it's as volatile enough of a stock for us to re-put back on our list. So, if you want to day trade some calls on it, looking for a squeeze up higher into the close, that's one idea. Or vice versa, if you think it's going to pull back off like 110 and shake back down again heading into the close. Either or, however you want to play it. You don't need to trade the stock. You could trade the option on it too. All right, what else we got here? PDSB, it's shortable. It's down big, right within our price range. Not like looking too attractive though. I mean, it's squeaking back up a little bit. The order book doesn't look that great. All right. I don't see much else that stands out here, folks. How about that? I mean, I'm sure there is definitely a lot more that's down that illustrious 5% or more that we look for here at this point. So if there's anything else looking good, just type it in the chat. Neo, not looking too great either way. Little spike up on GM there. I mean, I know it's going with the market a little bit, but that's a strong little reaction there. Just going through them all, folks. Going through them all myself right now. Just taking a look at the airlines, the cruise lines, the gaming casino stocks, all of them. MLCO, Chinese MLCO. Chinese gaming company, Macau Gaming right here, MLCO. This has actually been a good side list stock of late too. Looking at the daily chart, this could be in line for a really nice pop. Looking at the resistance there that it's been building, and today like breaking above. You'd want to see it close above that resistance though, and hold above it the following day. But you know what? This is low risk to put on our watch list still. It's obviously not near the highs just right now from the morning, but making a higher low, nice little trend, liquid enough. Michael and Grant talking about PBR. It's a crawler. It's a crawler. Warren says RSLS bad spread. Yeah, I mean, that's the type of stock I'm not looking to trade, really, that RSLS trade. Let's see what else we got, though, just from Benzinga Pro, then we'll call it. Got ATNF already on our list. So, hey, we don't need to build up too big of a list, folks, when this is still looking pretty strong, at least as of right now. GSPR is still hanging around for me, but just I'd rather see it break higher soon. It did technically make a higher high off this last local peak, but really hasn't done much since. So if it ends up pulling back to my 291, then it wouldn't shock me. So I took half out at 334. Happy with that. Coinbase, not a whole lot happening. A little move up at the market right now, but that's all there. I think that's just about it, folks. Last one here, Sorrento SRNE. That's going nowhere. Last one for real, CKPT. I don't know what I'm looking at here, folks. I think this is where we're scratching at the bottom of the barrel right now. Tim saying TQQQ. We talk about this quite frequently, folks. Unless if you have Bookmap, it's going to be extremely difficult to apply our trading strategy to an ETF. So, cold we have on our list because that was at the time breaking highs. This thing just pulled back quite a bit with the markets beginning to squeak back up. So I might look to scratch the cold off our list right now as is. But my stance on ETFs, unless if you have level 4 and trade it very well, then I wouldn't look to follow it. So if you do well on the TQQQ daily there, Tim, then I'm sure you'll be more inclined to trade it yourself. That's it. All right. I think that just about wraps it up, folks. Not a whole lot else out there for me to go through, really. We have 4 stocks on our watch list, and one of them is Tesla. So if you don't tend to trade a more expensive stock, then really start on those 3, the JSPR, the ATNF, and even that Macau Gaming. I like that. MLCO looks really strong over the last week and a half. So that in particular, just keep a small eye around the VWAP area too. It's been trying to tease a pop over the VWAP price right off that 1212, and we'll see if it can make that move. All right, for all of us on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, I appreciate you folks sticking with me each and every day, each and every afternoon. Happy New Year. Hope everyone enjoyed their holiday season, and hope everyone has a happy and healthy year coming up. Actually, for all of us inside our live trading room, I sent out an email to a number of us just last week in regards to New Year's resolutions, folks, not just in terms of life, but of course here in terms of trading. So, of course, we always like to say, make sure that you attend class, make sure that you're journaling your trades. Make sure that you're studying and not just journaling to journal, just, actually studying from said journal, right? You need to put those extracurriculars in, but even before that, we need to have intent with what we're doing. Like, why in the hell am I even here right now? What am I looking to do for the next 362 days now before the end of this year comes? So I had sent out an email to a large number of us, and if not, then just think of it yourself. As a trader, what am I doing right now for the next 362, 363, days this year? What am I looking to accomplish? That's where it all begins, folks. So, I just wanted to make that known before we finish up this meeting. For all of us on social media, Facebook Live or YouTube, if you wanted to join our live trading room, continue the audio broadcast. I know that Rich will be on the mic coming up in T-8 minutes. Make sure that you go right down to the link on the green banner below the stream just to get yourself started. But for all of us inside the live trading room right now, Leda, Tim, Mike, and all of us there live right now, best of luck trading heading into the market close. Talk to you all soon.